Yo, what's good everyone, and welcome back to another episode of making tier lists on Tiermaker. Now today we are going to be ranking all the school subjects. Now I have got the base tier list and I've added a lower F tier and a higher S plus tier because there's a variety of subjects. Now this is based off UK subjects, but English language and English literature will be combined into one, and the three different types of technology, food tech, product design and textiles, will all be ranked separately, and geography will be split into human geography and physical geography. So I thought I'd get that out of the way. And first things first, I just quickly mentioned that B tier is a middle tier. Just thought I'd like something left. Now art will go into D tier. Now, quick disclaimer, all of these are my own personal opinions. You can 100% feel free to disagree with me on any or every one of these opinions. But art is going into D tier. Now, it's not the worst subject. I can easily have, say, plenty of fun with it. However, in my multi-decade, I've been alive in multiple decades, and in my experience, art has always been quite troublesome when it came to homework, and also it was sometimes quite difficult, especially when it came to paint, and watercolours was my arch nemesis. Also, my classes weren't ideal. They were okay, but they weren't the best. So yeah, just art, it's art. Next, we've got biology, and I quite like biology. It will go into the S tier. Now, biology is probably my favourite science. It is the study of just plant and animal life. Like, revision's quite fun. When I used to do revision, like, it was really colourful. It was great. My class was fairly good. Good teachers, good seating plan, all the pretty reasonable stuff actually. When I had it, it was really, really good. So I'd say the lower end of S tier. Next up, we've got chemistry, and that is going into the A tier. Now, chemistry, there are a few things like required, like such as, say, I've always seemed to have struggled with compound ions. That is one thing I remember. And still to this day I struggle actually with compound ions, in contrast to biology where there's no specific things you have to memorise, it's just colourful stuff, I guess. Now chemistry is quite mathsy, so it is quite good in that regard, and yeah, quite like it. Also, like, my class was great, teacher quite good, seating plan reasonable, yeah. Next up, which is the really, really controversial one, and this would have varied so differently from times before. Actually, thinking about it, computer science will go into D tier, but the lower end of D tier. Now, computers are just such a complicated thing to me. I don't really like dealing with it myself. I mean, I am a content creator, but I'm more of the creative side of things rather than, say, the technology side of things. Definitely to the point where, say, for art and computer science, I'm willing to hire people to do that for me rather than actually having to do it myself. Yeah, I don't really like sorting out with computers myself. It's such a pain, and I get other people to help for me. But also, like, when I had it, like, class, like the teacher and like the class and people I was were generally okay. It wasn't like something notable, but it wasn't like bad, except for maybe the seating plan. Next up, we've got drama, which is going to go into the higher end of S tier, almost an S plus, but not quite. Now, drama's been a really good subject. The seating plan was probably one of the best, and combined with the teacher, the people I was with, when I had drama, it was one of my favourite subjects. And especially having it, say, when I used to have it, the last lesson on a Friday, it really gives that extra atmosphere absolutely enjoyed myself working with my friends, talking with random people. It was amazing. I absolutely loved drama. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to pursue it too much further, but it was really good, and I certainly appreciated drama whilst it lasted. And a few years ago, it was one of my highest grades. Next up is English, which goes middle of S tier. Now, English is very important as a subject. You need because English is the most worldwide language and one of, but not the most spoken language in the world. Case in point, aviation industry, where the main language is English for, say, pilots and air traffic controllers. And generally around the world, English is the most important language in the world. But also, when we drift away from the language and go to the literacy aspect of English, I've always found essay writing to be quite reasonable. I've quite liked it. I've had good grades. And also, the people I work with, the teacher, the seating plan, the subject in general, when I had it, was really good. I really did enjoy English. Yeah. Next up, we've got food tech, which is going to go middle of the road, true neutral in B tier. Now, food tech, I had probably one of the best experiences working with people there, but the class was a little bit tedious. I'm not the best at cooking, and I do slip up sometimes as well. I often take quite long making food, but when I do it, it can turn out quite well. I've definitely made some memories in food tech, but I'm going to be honest, I am glad to have put it past me. Next up is French, F tier. Now, I really don't understand foreign languages. I can't. I really, really, really struggle. And also my class experience wasn't ideal either. Like, anything to do with foreign language, so not just picking on French, but I don't get it. And then French does make it a bit worse with like lots of exceptions and arbitrary rulings. Yeah, I don't really like French. Again, feel free to disagree with my opinions. Next up is history, which is immediately going to the S+ tier, one of my favourite subjects. Now, history has got one of the calmest classes that I had, and some of the calmest teachers I've ever had as well. Now, there is an internet stereotype online that history teachers are just like the most popular, and there is a good reason for that. In my experience with many different teachers, history has always seemed to come out on top in like the top 5 or 3 subjects ever. Also, the content in history is really good as well. So, like, learning about different people and different times, different eras, it was really good. And I absolutely loved history. Next up, and I don't want to put 2 lessons with the same tier next to each other, I'm going to spice it up. I'm going to pick up random ones. Next up, I've got PE, which is going to go into the lower end of B tier. Now, PE is a very important subject, but sometimes it is quite hard. I'm not ideal at PE, and I'd love to see this subject go higher up in the tier list. As a matter of fact, I'm changing my mind. I'll go lower end of A tier. It deserves this place in A tier. It's really quite important, but I'm not the best at it, and I'd love to improve. So yeah, that's PE. Next up, I'll go for RS, Religious Studies, but it's called RE or Religious Education in most schools, but Studies makes more sense than Education. That is probably going to go between English and Biology in the S tier. Now, Religious Studies is a very important subject. It ties in very well with history and human geography, and it's interesting to learn about lots of different cultures from all around the world. However, at the time of writing in the UK, from my understanding, it's still a compulsory GCSE, which, even as someone who loves religious studies, still thinks it shouldn't be compulsory, because whilst I completely understand that it gets misrepresented and people could understand the benefits of RS, it's not beneficial for absolutely everyone, and it shouldn't be forced upon everyone, because there are many things which should be taught either by parents or by individuals themselves. Next up, I've got Latin, and for the same reasons as French, it's going into the F tier, although it's just in front of French because there are a few more rules and it is a lot more similar in nature. It is a little bit simpler, but not by much. Next, I'm going to go for Skills for Life, which will go in the higher end of A tier, if I can fit it there, which I can. Now, Skills for Life is a subject in which you learn about various different things, including things I'm not allowed to discuss on this channel, but I've definitely had my fun in Skills for Life. Don't get me wrong, I've had a good time. The environment has been pretty reasonable. I've had pretty good people, pretty good teachers. Quite enjoyed it, and on occasions it's stepped into human geography a little bit, which I really enjoy. Yeah, Skills for Life, pretty good subject and pretty important. Next up, we've got Human Geography, if I can even say it. So yeah, next up, Human Geography, immediately going to the S+ tier in front of History. Probably my favourite subject of all time, because Human Geography is basically learning about people all around the world and all forms of development and geopolitics, tying into history very well. I absolutely love it. Class environment, again, teachers and seating plans when I had it, absolutely amazing. I've absolutely loved Human Geography, and it's just really, really good overall as a subject. I absolutely love Human Geography. It's so good, easily. Next up, we've got Music, which is going to go into the C tier. Now, producing music is something I really don't like. However, there are plenty of good times in music as well, such as singing, as from the guys, half of the population, we tended to do quite well singing as a class, and when we came together as a class, it was really good. The atmosphere was great. Singing in different voice brackets. Me, you may be able to tell compared to my earlier videos, I used to sing pretty much always at the lowest bracket possible, so like the lowest you could go, and I really enjoyed it. It's quite fun. And also, if you've ever spotted on my channel, I have made a playlist of all the best songs in the world, which if you think there should be any additions, just let me know. I may not add them, but if you bring up a song that I've potentially forgotten about and you make me remember it, I'll easily add it. But the point being, I do have some things for music, such as like singing my favourite lyrics or listening to my favourite music, but overall, yeah, it's roughly middle of the road, but there were some hiccups. Next up will be Maths. Immediately, and quite controversially, if I can even find Maths, that is, immediately going into the S+ tier, which roughly ties with Human Geography. Now, no, putting Maths right at the top of the tier list is a very, very controversial move, and say for my American audience it might be quite unpopular, but I've always seemed to do really well at Maths. I've absolutely loved it, probably my highest grades overall. Maths also probably best teachers, the best seating plans, the best people I'm with, so much fun and games here, we get so much work done, and my grades are pretty much the highest. It's basically, if I put together a subject by my own accord, Maths, and that goes the same for Human Geography, except potentially the environment is a little bit less, but still really, really good. Yeah, Maths just ekes out Human Geography in terms of like the environment. It's just the best. I remember once like the class saying happy birthday for me. Just the best. Absolutely amazing. Next up we've got physical geography, which is going to go between drama and English in the S tier, which is basically like human geography, except it's more about physical stuff, so like rock formations and just geography as one may know it. I mean, I still do really enjoy studying physical geography, don't get me wrong, but it is not as amazing or divine or ascended as human geography would be. Yeah. Next I've got physics, which I'm probably going to put next to chemistry in the A tier. Physics is a pretty good subject, however I've not always been the best at it. The environment's pretty good, but I don't know, there are times where I lack. Physics is also guilty of having lots of required equations, which when I was searching up earlier, they still require, but those required equations really did get to me. It is one of the things I still struggle to with this day in terms of physics, but yeah, it is still a good subject nonetheless. Next up we've got product design, which I am incredibly tempted to put in the F tier, but I'm going to put right at the bottom of D tier, and the only reason I put that is because I did get help when I struggled, and also the atmosphere was pretty reasonable. I had some funny moments, but I was definitely cool seeing the end of product design for me. And last, I can't say but not least either, just last, is textiles, which is going to go at the bottom of C tier. Now, textiles is a subject where it was basically product design, but quite a fair bit easier, and there is basically a bimodal value when it came to textiles. Either just a really good environment because I was with all my mates, or a really good environment because I was with people who were just incredibly calm, who helped me out all the time, and I give my utmost respect to them. But yeah, with that comes the end of my tier list. So you can see all the subjects here. Feel free to agree or disagree with any of these or all of them. They're just my personal opinions, and also me like merging and splitting subjects. So overall, if you've enjoyed the video, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. And equally, if you've not really liked the video, feel free to leave a dislike as well. That lets me know that it's not really something you guys like. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Take care. Bye for now.